Coming up on today's episode, in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, we go back to 1992 and break down the very goofy Leprechaun.
What the hell are you? You just gotta know how to do it.
Stay tuned. Welcome to Scary World, where we walk you through the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I am your host, Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
Remember, folks, this is a spoiler-free show.
I'm not going to spoil the surprise.
Now that we got that out of the way,
We got some rules around here.
keep in mind, there are 5 categories: production, story, ensemble, horror, and legacy. Every category can earn up to 2 points.
Showtime.
Per IMDb, the synopsis goes, an evil, sadistic leprechaun
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
goes on a killing rampage
Crazed witchy woman on a rampage, perhaps?
in search of his beloved
And to my beloved Mina.
pot of gold.
No one takes a leprechaun's gold.
Production.
Camera shy.
This movie was directed by Mark Jones. This was his featured directorial debut back in '92. And folks, let me tell you, it looks like a feature debut from back in '92. Not much here technically was done right. There were a lot of poor decisions made in the execution of this movie. A lot of poor decisions made in the technical execution of this movie. The camera work did not look good. The shots looked very ill-composed. Aside from the camera work, the lighting in this movie is terrible. Everything is poorly lit. Basement where a lot of the action takes place early on in the movie is poorly lit. The forest scene is poorly lit. Not sure what kind of moon lighting they were trying to get there, but it didn't look very good. One big major gripe of mine was the Cloverfield patch in Act 3. It was lit with a green light as to fake a green field, to actually try and give like grass color. This is what they did here. And it looks terrible because the light is bouncing off the actors, and you can see that somebody's pointing a green spotlight at this dry patch of grass here. It's definitely not a good look. Another big gripe of mine in this movie is the sound. This movie didn't really sound that great. Specifically the score. It looks like they grabbed the score from a 60s or 70s like Looney Tunes or something, and they just copy and pasted it right into the edit, and it doesn't sound good. It's not effective for the movie. Even though this movie does have a lot of comedy beats and it is more on the lighthearted side of horror, it doesn't come off well in certain scenes. It's very goofy and it doesn't do justice to the character of the leprechaun because it's written, yes, again, it's written in a goofy way, but the music used makes it even goofier than it should be. Very cartoony, and you can't really take that seriously, unfortunately. And that's a big detriment. And for that, this movie gets a big old 0 for production. It didn't look good. It didn't sound good. A lot of work needed to be done in order to make this visibly nice to the eye. Story.
Second act needs work.
This was his debut script as well. He didn't write any features before this movie. It was, it had some problems in it for sure. But I gotta say, like, the core concept of the story was actually fun. But let's talk about Mark Jones for a quick second here. This guy has a pretty interesting track record. So he's written a lot for episodic television back in the 80s and the late 70s. He wrote for the A-Team, did episodes of Alf. He wrote for the Police Academy cartoon, James Bond Jr. So this guy comes from a very lighthearted world, a world where, there are comedy beats at every corner. And he translates that very well into the script. He brings that aspect of his writing into this horror movie, and it works, honestly. It's remember, this is a 1992 movie and it is 2024 currently. Honestly, you can see why this movie was kind of a success. Especially with the dialogue given to Warwick Davis's character, the Leprechaun. It's fun. I wish he would have been able to expand a little better on the concept. That's where the problem lies here. The concept is fun, but the expansion of the story and the elements built around the concept are not that great. We've spoken about this at length with movies like Imaginary, which we covered last week, and Night Swim, which I spoke about as well last week, and we covered back on the Morgue in January when the movie was released. There are concepts that belong in short vehicles that, when expanded to feature length, you need to be careful because it can get a little crazy. And this is kind of what happens here in Leprechaun. But as I mentioned, there is a positive here, and that is the stuff dealing with the leprechaun itself. The actual core concept of, hey, don't steal a leprechaun's gold or he's going to come after you and he's going to kill you. That's fun. It's fun. It's translated well on screen. It's very goofy. There are a lot of comedy beats here for the leprechaun, and it works. And the story is fun because of that leprechaun aspect. Everything else is not good. But for that cool, very interesting leprechaun story, this movie gets a 1. Ensemble.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
The only character that's honestly worth talking about is Warwick Davis's Leprechaun. This dude knocks it out of the park. What a fun performance he had, and you can tell he was having so much fun on set. He was having fun with his character. He was having fun with the dialogue, having fun executing what a leprechaun does, which is, trying to find the gold and kill people in his way, I guess.
A missing coin.
There isn't much praise else for the supporting cast. Jennifer Aniston is in this movie. She's not that great. Her character is very off-putting, very annoying. The rest of the cast is fine. Nothing really to talk about here except for Warwick Davis's performance as the Leprechaun.
I'm the leprechaun.
To talk just a little bit about it, Warwick Davis looked great, by the way. The practical makeup they had on him was awesome. It's classic. Come on, it's classic. Everyone knows this look of the leprechaun, this evil, dastardly leprechaun look.
It's out of the crate.
It's a fun look. It looks decent on screen. I think they just put all the budget on that aspect, and they were like, screw everything else. We're going to throw everything at the leprechaun, which honestly was a good move. Warwick Davis knocked it out of the ballpark. Willow knows what he's doing when it comes to these kind of fantasy characters. He did great as Willow. He did great as well in the Harry Potter series. He does great, honestly, in everything he does. Warwick Davis is awesome. He's the man. And for that, this movie gets a nice solid 1 for his performance. Horror.
I'm scared.
There is a good amount of blood and gore in this movie, and all of it is practical. It's practical. It's in your face. It's very early 90s, man. It's fun. Honestly, this was the best aspect of this movie, was this category here, the horror category. You had a bunch of very fun kills here. Warwick Davis as the leprechaun does his best trying to intimidate and haunt and spook, and it's fun. It's honestly very nostalgic. Because I saw this movie growing up. Some of it does look a little wonky, but honestly, this whole movie is wonky. I mean, we're dealing with a leprechaun here looking for some gold, right? So it's Lucky Charms brought to life. So we are dealing with a wonky universe, and the horror aspect here, the practical aspect, the makeup used on the leprechaun, the body parts, all the fun close-ups we get of the kills and the gore is really fun. Really helps get the audience through this movie. It helped get me through this movie. That was the best aspect of this movie, was being entertained at the ways that this leprechaun is killing people, right? It was very fun. And that's honestly why people keep watching this movie. Everything else is like not good. You watch this movie strictly for the leprechaun action and brutality, and that's really all it has to offer. And for that, this movie gets a 2 for horror. Legacy.
Now what do you think?
This movie is not good by my current standards at all. It's not good. It's not a good movie. The story lacks a lot. It doesn't look great. The kills are fun, yes, but it's not a good movie. That being said, though, back in '93, when I was able to rent this thing at Blockbuster Video, I had fun with this movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I remember my parents had a lot of fun with this movie because it's so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous movie that the only way to ingest this is just say, hey, get some popcorn going. Let's have some fun here. Let's watch this leprechaun kill a bunch of people. This movie, it's fun. It's nostalgic. And I love watching Warwick Davis do his thing. And there are plenty of kills to keep you busy here. And there's plenty of comedic cringe. As mentioned, the movie's not good. But just the nostalgia of it all and Warwick Davis's performance as a leprechaun is really iconic, honestly. And for that, this movie gets a 1 for legacy. So to tally it up, Leprechaun received a 0 for production, 1 for story, 1 for ensemble, 2 for horror, and a 1 for legacy, bringing its total up to 5. 5 out of 10 ain't bad, folks. I mean, for a movie made in 1993 about a leprechaun looking for his pot of gold, this is not going to get much better in terms of ranking. But as I mentioned, it's fun. It's funny, actually. It has some moments where I actually kind of cracked up because of Warwick Davis's delivery. Again, he does a great job. He knows what he's getting himself into. He knows exactly how to take this character to the next level and actually make this movie watchable. If it wasn't for him, this thing would be complete garbage. I had a lot of fun actually watching this movie, believe it or not. The kills were better than I remembered. They looked good because it's all practical. They're not shy of getting close up to the kills and showing you the eyeball or his little furry leprechaun hand doing some crazy stuff. It's well done in that aspect. If you're looking for a story, this is not your movie at all. No. If you're looking for some horror fun, this is definitely your movie. Go check out Leprechaun. It's on Amazon Prime.
Can you tell me what time it is?
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for watching Scary World. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and hit the thumbs up on the video. Don't forget, most importantly, to subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends, your family, and your pets to come to YouTube, subscribe to CorpseFeed, and tell all their pets and their families to do the same. Do not forget to check us out on all the socials. We are on Instagram, Facebook, on Twitch, on X, on Threads, on TikTok for now, right? We are there, folks. Also, do not forget to check out the official CorpseFeed podcast, dropping every Tuesday, where you get your podcast streams. There on The Morgue, we dissect everything. You know, that's why we call it The Morgue. We like to break down every little scene, every reel, slice it up, dice it up, and talk about all that good stuff and spoil it for you guys. Here on Scary World, we don't spoil, but on The Morgue, every Tuesday, you can catch a spoiler review of a current movie. We will see you on Monday for another episode. And remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.
I just wanted to say goodbye.